I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get around to talking about this Sex Pistols. It's an album of very competent guitar rock anthems.
Yeah.
But I think that it must have just been so revolutionary to see a band doing it that loud. And, I mean, obviously it was doing it that loud and that revolutionary.
Yeah.
I think that the Ramones are maybe more of a stylistic revolution if we're talking about the like perhaps the two only true punk bands.
The only is that what we've decided, that there are two punk bands?
I think I was over this. I went over this in a previous episode, how like punk, quote unquote, only exists for like 3 months in the summer of 1977.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Ramones have that stylistic revolution of stripping everything down and just playing everything as fast and loud and angry as possible. And then
wearing those leather jackets.
Yeah. And then the
sunglasses.
Sex Pistols then add their stylistic addition is a particularly British sarcasm to it. And I mean, not intellectualism, but, you know, the way that they make it very specifically British and anti-authoritarian in a very specific way against the calcified upper class of... I
think that they were more political naturally, and the Ramones were just a little more
but then again,
lifestyle.
We're talking... I was just going to say, we're like talking of a range of like -1 to 1 because the Ramones are like, we like sniffing glue, and that is our political statement. And then
this New York City block is the one where you can buy a prostitute services.
Yes, and then the Sex Pistols political statement is fuck the Queen. So obviously it's a very narrow range, but I guess if you're going to say one is more political than the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real deep stuff. She also says that it's around this time that journalists start like sniffing around their scene and asking, you know, who's in a punk band? Like, can we talk to them? Like, when are you playing or whatever? Like, the rumor of the scene brought in people who then created the mystique of the scene by writing about it.
Yeah, it's like a 1-to-1 ratio of promoters and artists in this scene, right?
Yes.
Does she talk at all about sex?
Yeah, she does. She shops there. Although she says,
do you know the sex store?
Oh yeah, that's the Vivian Westwood.
Yes.
And Malcolm McLaren.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's their sexy bondage-inspired fashion store. Viv says it's like really expensive, so you basically own like 2 things from sex, but that still makes you a sex person.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, that it's like all it takes is just the right pair. Like she talked about, she went in one day and Vivian Westwood was like, these boots, you should definitely wear these. And she was like, oh, I don't know. Like, they're super expensive. And like, I don't know if I'm ever going to do it. And she ended up buying them because she felt like she had to, because Vivian Westwood told her to, and she still wears them.
And isn't there that quote from Malcolm McLaren about how the Sex Pistols were started in order to sell pants? I think
I've heard that before. Yeah.
That makes total sense.
So that's the root of punk rock.
Yeah.
Selling pants.
Also, she later on when she meets Sid Vicious, she says that he rips his pants accidentally and then just safety pins them together because he has literally no other pants, and the alternative would be to not wear pants. So I think punk rock is definitely the most pants adjacent, synergistic genre of music.
I mean, we think of, you know, maybe 80s metal as like the leather pant genre.
I don't know. I feel like Led Zeppelin is definitely like extremely pants.
They are extremely pants.
Super tight.
Bruce Springsteen is also very pants.
Mm-hmm.
Like very jeans specifically. Yeah, I think that's right.
I mean, a lot of male artists are very pants.
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen is very pants. You don't have a lot to play with in male fashion. It's either what kind of shirt are you wearing, tight or floofy? What kind of pants are you wearing, tight or weird?
I feel like right now that men's music and thus fashion is broken down by like, are you wearing a leather jacket or a denim jacket?
Yeah.
And like I would say most people right now are leather jacket with a lean toward, you know, like Justin Timberlake was a leather jacket and now he's leaning more toward a denim.
Yeah.
More like a flannel, really.
Yeah. Well, he's going earthy. I was thinking of more like, you know, if you're a pop man, then you wear leather, and if you're like a rock under alt rocky type guy, you wear denim.
And then if you're like a cool hip hop guy, you wear like a silky open shirt.
Or like Bruno Mars wears those like vinyl bomber jackets.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, pants.
Well, then you could see how revolutionary it would be for Sid Vicious to say how he could make that into a fashion thing.
Yes.
By just safety pinning up his pants because everybody around would be like, oh my God, you could do a third thing with pants?
Yeah. You can destroy pants and build them again and make them into a new pant better than before.
This man is a fashion genius.
You know, like the Japanese concept of like when you put gold in the cracks of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what that's called, but that's like that, but with leather.
With pants.
With pants. Oh, God. Viv decides she wants to play music, and she tells Mick that she wants to buy a guitar because her dead Swiss grandmother left her some, I think 200 quid in inheritance. And she's like, I don't want to like fritter it away on nonsense and like hamburgers and stuff. I want to buy a guitar. And Mick goes, yeah, I've got a girlfriend who plays guitar.
Oh, I love it.
My heart melted. She doesn't even play guitar yet, but she will.
Yeah.
She gets a 1969 Les Paul Jr. She loves the curves of it like it's got a cute bum. In our longish tradition of guitarists and their memoirs getting a little horny for their guitars.
Well, at least it cuts both ways.
It does. If you love a guitar, you gotta kind of love it sexually a little bit, I think. So she meets Sid Vicious, and they start a band together called The Flowers of Romance. Great band name.
Yeah.
She practices guitar by herself. She says she tries to imitate the sound of wild animals, as like when she's not trying to learn actual chords. She's looking for, in all caps, the sound.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? The sound, what did Nile Rodgers call it? The deep hidden meaning. Everyone's looking for that thing. I think Joe Perry called it like the lost chord.
The phantom chord?
Phantom chord.
The undiscovered chord?
Yeah. Maybe the Black Eyed Peas had a word for that too.
Oh, they did have a thing.
Oh,
Remember
shit.
that they were always trying to do until they just gave up and said
boom 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 pow.
Boom boom pow 200 times in a song?
I'm gonna have to look that up. So she meets Johnny Thunders of the Heartbreakers, and they snog occasionally. She says when they kiss, he yells to his drummer, "I feel something." I guess he's
so the drummer's just like in the room while they're kissing.
I feel like this is the nature of punk rock too, is that no one has any private space at all. It's also rock and roll in general, but I feel like specifically punk rock with the nature of like their communal living. No such thing as having a private snog. It's like all out there for everyone to see.
Which is why we get so much good punk rock gossip, because everyone had to do everything in front of everyone else.
Everyone sees everything.
There were like 10 seats in CBGB. There was no place to hide.
True. Then Johnny gets word from Sid that he's going to kick Viv out of the Flowers of Romance. Rude. Johnny offers her some heroin to sort of numb the pain of like getting dumped out of your band, and she says yes. It is her only time doing heroin.
Oh, that's
which
a relief.
Is so strange. Yeah. She basically says, she's like, wow, this was really great. And it really helped the sting of getting kicked out of your band.
Only person ever who has done heroin once said, "This is great. Thank you."
Wow. She's like the most logical rock star I've ever heard of.
She's a heroin superhero.
I have so much respect.
She's a heroin.
Yeah. I also just always think it's funny because, I've read a number of these history of punk books, Please Kill Me, and a lot of like New York centric ones. Love Goes to Buildings on Fire. And you always kind of imagine that there are like a few scene leaders and these scenes are a little bigger. But every time you read one of ththese books, it's the same 10 guys.
Yes.
The scene was so tiny, like minutely small.
Yes.
It is like 10 guys on both sides of the Atlantic, because Johnny Thunders is a prime
he's a New
York guy.
Yeah.
And then Sid Vicious and those guys all come to New York and meet the other 10 guys doing it in New York.
Yeah. And what's amazing is that all you really need is the desire to be in the scene. Yeah. And there is kind of a spot for you. It seems like the hardest situation for Viv and just for people in general is finding people to be in a band with you. Consistently, because some people are drug addicts, some people are just like flaky, some people aren't on the stage. She mentions at one point that Chrissy Hinn from The Pretenders, no one wants to be in a band with her because she's too good. So, like,
I mean, true. The
it's shit like that.
rule.
You have to find people on your level too.
Yes. That was a problem. A big problem with the New York Dolls is that they all sucked exactly the same amount.
Yeah.
And so they could only work together, but the problem then was they all sucked.
They all sucked.
So they were always the band that was almost there, but they couldn't ever work with anybody else.
Yeah.
And they all just were just enough fuck ups to not be able to make it big themselves.
Yeah. That's the struggle.